Despite Thenka's promise of fun, Satra was soon cold, wet, and hungry. Her only consolation was that the black flies were leaving her alone. Unfortunately, so were the swamp grouse, frogs, and everything else big enough for her to eat. She sat down along the edge of a large frozen lake and began to push snow into a pile with her paws. Someday, she'd be a great hunter. Not just a great hunter, she'd be the best hunter, and flyer too. Today, however, she was June the Kiar's daughter, and they weren't going to let her go hungry if she came back empty-beaked. She started compacting the snow into a snow griffin. She got the outline right, but it was hard to make feathers with snow, so she went to fetch some Anita branches for the wings. She peeled off some bark for the beak and was feeling pretty good about her first snow griffin efforts when she accidentally stepped on the tail. "Oh, well, I guess you can be Urius and not Thenka," she said to her masterpiece. Satra had just finished finding 2 seed cones for the eyes when she heard a ribbit behind her. She dropped down low and stalked to the edge of the frozen lake. 20 feet away, a frog the size of her face hopped across the ice. She didn't know why this particular frog had defrosted so early in the season, but it was big enough to eat. Sure, her sister would laugh at Satra if she only came back with a frog, but Vitra was always looking for reasons to pick on her younger sibling. It would be a lot easier to endure the teasing with a full stomach. Satra tried her best to stay calm, but her tail twitched back and forth at the thought of eating such a large frog. Just when she was certain the shaking would catch the attention of her prey, she leapt onto the ice. Her pounce caught the frog, but she forgot to extend her claws, and it slipped through her paws and hopped away. Meanwhile, Satra was slipping and spinning. She didn't seem to be slowing at all, and she let out a yowl. When her scrabbling claws finally stopped her spin, she was 50 feet from the shore. She was grateful she hadn't caught anything to eat this morning, because she'd have thrown it up. She carefully lifted herself off her stomach and onto her paws. She pushed off to fly back to shore, but her legs splayed out in all directions and she fell on her face. From the shore, she heard someone giggle. "Who's there?" Satra squeaked. "I am Satra, daughter of the Kiar, and I won't be laughed at." The snowbank seemed to crawl onto the ice. Satra wiped at her eyes, then realized it wasn't snow, it was a taiga griffin. The bright blue eyes gave her away. The stranger walked across the frozen lake as though it were solid rock, and for a moment Satra thought she might be seeing a bog witch. But no, this was definitely a taiga griffin. She wandered right up to Satra and touched the tip of Satra's beak with her paw. "Hello there, Satra, daughter of the Kiar. You seem to have a bit of a problem." "Who are you?" Satra demanded. She'd never met a taiga griffin before. She'd never met any griffin outside of her pride before, except for the bog griffins, and they didn't count. "Mignette of Snowfall," the stranger said with a bow and spread wings. Her front half resembled a gerfalcon, all white with black bars, and her back half had thick white fur and pretty black rosettes. She had on a sea leather harness and a silver bracelet. No Kiar griffins wore harnesses or jewelry, though some of the bog griffins used feather paint. Satra tried to stand up and return the bow, but ended up falling back on her stomach, eliciting another giggle from her companion. "What type of griffin are you?" Mignette extended a claw and used it to pull up Satra's crest. She put her face right up next to the golden feathers and peered at them. The rest of Satra's plumage, unlike Mignette's, was a mixture of dull browns and grays. Satra managed to get herself back in a standing position. It required 4 paws and her tail on the ground. "I'm a Kiar griffin, hence being daughter of the Kiar." "Oh, well then," the stranger said. "Then I guess I'm Mignette, daughter of the Snowfall." Satra wasn't sure if Mignette was teasing her or if her father was the taiga pride leader.